might be listening in or who will be joining us by video at some later date. This is the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation meeting of Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. Let me welcome you all and let me introduce the board, which includes, and I'm going by my screen, Sarah Latham, John Gregory, Peter DeWitt, Mark McIntyre. They are all present, so we have a quorum. I move that we open this meeting. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Mark McIntyre. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we'll begin the meeting. I'd also like to introduce our recording secretary, Jackie Allen, joining us this evening, as well as Kat Styler, our videographer. I'd like just a moment to share with you a thought I had after our last meeting. And by the way, Alice Cooley, our able-bodied attorney. At our last meeting, it went rather long. We had a full session. There was a lot of debate. And I came away thinking that evening and the next morning how much I enjoy working with this board. They are all committed. They share a common concern. We don't always agree, but we do share a common concern, and that is for the village. So I'd like, because we've had a number of adjournments at the request of the applicants, just to review with all those in the audience the agenda for this evening to preclude anybody from waiting unnecessarily. So if everybody can see on their screen the agenda, which I'm rolling through, you'll note that in the public hearings historic, 88 Gin Lane has requested an adjournment, and we'll repeat this so that the recording secretary can make the proper notice in the record in the minutes. But again, 88 Gin Lane, Horace Bliss, 88 Meadow Lane, the Beechwood Latch, as well as BHNH at 109 Hampton Road, and Post Crossing LLC all have adjournments. Okay.
And way trust.
Yes, go ahead.
And by the way,
yes, 88 Gin Lane, yeah, which is and by the way trust. Thank you for clarification. And then further down, DCK Wyndham LLC for driveway gates. That's adjourned. That's at 35 Herrick Road. The Polish Club, the Heart of the Hamptons, also have adjournments. 31 Roscoe Developer, that's at 31 Roscoe Drive, has also requested an adjournment. And finally, Hampton Monkey Business at 209 Little Plains Road has, for driveway gates, has also requested an adjournment. Again, we'll repeat these, but I don't want anybody to wait unnecessarily. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to close this down. Okay, and let's see, you want to stop share screening? Did I do that?
I can do it for you.
Okay. Okay, good. Go. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
So, and one more thing in the way of an announcement. The village, the mayor's office is and the trustees have forwarded to me and requested that we announce, and I do so with pleasure, that the village will hold its first comprehensive planned public workshop on October 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. Zoom links and participation will be available. So please look for the notices on the village website and probably in the newspaper. And this is a chance for you to make your voice heard on the future of your village. So please make note of that. So on the agenda, the first item of business are the minutes, which we're catching up on. The board has had a chance to review the minutes for August 9th and August 23rd. There were no edits made on the August 9th minutes, but there were edits to be made on the August 23rd, including edits by requested by Peter in terms of correcting a vote on 12 Boyson and a comment on 66 Halsey regarding the roof being 4 inches lowered, not 4 feet, and also an objection posted regarding a curb cut. And then on the 23rd, Sarah made note of objections to the Beechwood latch application. So I'm going to move that we enter into the record the minutes of August 9th. And then following that, move that we accept the minutes of August 23rd with the edits that I just mentioned, which I will edit and then submit. Okay, Alice, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so all those in favor of accepting the August 9th minutes, please, well, can I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, from Peter, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Then I move that we enter into the record the minutes of August 23rd with the edits that I mentioned. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Peter seconds that. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, everybody. Yep. So then let's proceed with the agenda. We're going to take the first hearing will be that of Taylor Perts LLC. Now, as an accommodation to the applicant, we're going a bit out of order here. This is for at 55 Toilsome Lane to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling and alterations to the existing pool house and garage. Okay, so whoever is here speaking on behalf of the applicant or the applicant themselves, please raise your hand and Kat will let you in.
Okay, here comes Greg.
Yeah, I reviewed the affidavit.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Greg Tankersley is coming in. You're muted, sir. Here, I'll send you the link to unmute.
I believe, am I unmuted now?
Nope, you're good.
Nope. So Greg, tell us who you are, who you represent, and where your firm is based.
My name is Greg Tankersley. I am with McAlpin Architects based in Manhattan, and I'm representing the Taylor family for this project.
Okay. Okay. So we have the necessary papers to hear you. So proceed, tell us about what it is you plan. You've come before us before, I believe, Greg.
I have. It's good to see you all again, albeit virtually.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So you know the procedure. Take us through your elevations and including the materials, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Happy to. The first part I'll talk about is the new house that we're constructing, and then I'll get into the outbuildings. We are.
Can you share the drawings, Kat?
I'm sorry.
Kat,
Yes,
can you share these drawings?
I can. Which one is it? I was just looking it up.
55 Toilsome.
No, I don't have that. I have a bunch, but not that one.
Let's see. Let's see if I have it. I should.
You can speak, Greg. I just for the public, we need them to see the drawings.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, that's all right. I will carry on. We are proposing construction of a house. The massing of the house is actually fairly simple and fairly symmetrical. It's a center story and a half building that is a story and a half living room that is glassy on the front and back, so you can practically see all the way through the house. And then there are 2 symmetrical wings on either side of it that are both a story and a half with front facing gables, one being the entrance to the house that goes back through to a kitchen, sunroom, and then the other is a study and master bedroom. So it's practically a symmetrical structure.
So can I just interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
So I was just looking through my emails and I don't see a digital version. I do have a hard copy. Jackie, do you have a digital version?
Jeff, I'm sorry, I'm actually on my home computer.
Okay. So nobody's received a digital version, correct?
No.
I don't see one.
We have hard copies.
Okay. Greg, do you have it? Go ahead.
I was gonna ask if Greg could share his screen.
Right.
Yes, I have a digital version.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
And then as you're going through the slides, because the board has hard copies, or some of us do, just make sure you let us know which slide you're talking about.
Drawing.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So Toilsome Lane is here. This is the main house that we are proposing constructing. What I was just saying is there is basically a story and a half structure that's right in the middle, and then two wings that go back that are also story and a half that face the street, that go back to, one goes back to a big sun porch, and the other one goes back to a master bedroom. So it's practically an entirely symmetrical facade, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So that's the main house, and I'll talk about the materials once we get to the elevation. The other parts of this proposal is there is an existing garage right here, an existing pool house and pool right here. We are not changing the footprint of these, but we are restyling them so that they would be in character with the rest of the house. But otherwise, they're staying the exact same footprint and same size. And then the pool is existing too, but we are going to renovate the pool, but it stays same size, same location. And one thing I will mention, there are two enormous, beautiful, specimen Japanese maples that are on the property. And we're actually transplanting them and putting them on either side of the house. And that will graphically show up on the elevation. So, they're just incredible specimen trees. Let me get to the elevations. So this is the street. Oops, I'm sorry. There we go. This is the street elevation from Toilsome. This center section is what I was saying is the story and a half building. And then these are the symmetrical wings that go off on either side that have front facing gables. But again, they're story and a half structures. Way beyond are actually two stair towers that are flat roof, that are recessed back from the front elevation. And these are, you can see kind of ghosted in on either side. These are those two magnificent maple trees that we're transplanting on either side of the house. So front door is right there. That's a study window, so that goes back to the master. And then this is the story and a half living room that is glassy on the front, and that's actually the back. So it's glassy on the back. So you basically see all the way through this one room. Materials that we are proposing are, we're proposing a flush brick that would be lime washed. All the gutters and downspouts are lead coated copper, and then the roof is a machine sawn cedar roof. The windows and doors are a combination of French doors, some fixed transoms, some casement windows with transoms over them. Those would all be steel. That would be sort of a gray bronzish coloration. So the lime wash is going to end up being a real soft white, and then the window and door system will be sort of a gray bronze color, and then of course we'll end up with a sort of driftwood coloration of the roof. So real simple color scheme. Do y'all have any questions before I go to the outbuildings?
No, we'll come back.
Okay. So that's the rear elevation. These are the side elevations. So you can see those stair towers on either end on the sides. Again, those two big, enormous trees out front. That's just the pyramidal so that we're all good and legal there. On the outbuildings, I'll get to the elevations. This is the pool house. We're suggesting changing, again, cladding it in lime wash brick. These will probably all be wood windows and door system. So it's a lesser window than that's on the main house. This building right now has a really low pitched roof on it. And we are suggesting putting on a steeper roof on this just so it matches the house, but it still falls within our legal pyramid. And then the existing garage, we're just recladding and redoing the windows on. Otherwise, the roof is staying the same on it. And that's basically it in a nutshell.
And the garage, what's happening with that?
Oh, the garage, again, we are recladding it with the lime wash brick. Again, wood windows, new garage door, new shingles on the roof, but otherwise we're altering one little end of it, this end right here, but otherwise it's staying exactly as it exists.
Okay.
We're just altering it to get a stair up into it, but otherwise the footprints of both of these buildings are staying exactly the same.
Okay, great. Let me turn it over to the board members. So you can keep your screen share on because the board members wish to refer to particular slides. So I don't have the benefit of seeing who's in front of me. So I'm going to let whichever board member wants to go first.
And I just, oh, you go, Peter.
There you go.
I was just going to ask if you could provide us with the actual color of the windows. I mean, the idea sounds wonderful with the gray bronze.
Oh, of course.
But I know you were good about that in the past on Main Street, South Main.
Yeah, I will second what Sarah was saying. I think, well, from my standpoint, there's a concern about blush white looks like white, and gray bronze could be interpreted, at least your rendering makes it look more like a White House with black trim. So I think, at least from my standpoint, I'd like to see a physical sample submitted to the building department.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think the color, this is not a White House with black trim. It's not that severe in terms of its coloration. The lime washing is actually going to have a lot of depth to it, and that's why it's just not a painted brick. So it's going to be pretty warm in coloration, and not that stark.
Okay, all right. Other board members?
Have to provide all that.
Yeah, you know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful composition. You know, it has the story and a half height, has a grandeur befitting its frontage, flanked by the smaller scaled pavilions, you know, articulated with the little pop outs and gables. I love the severity of the stair towers.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it a modern edge. And I think the composition is great. My only issue, is parking taking up the front yard. And you know, I know that we're allowed to do that, and I think it's unfortunate. And you have a big lot, and you know, and I can see the difficulty of it. So I'm just going to throw that out there for others to perhaps.
No, I think Peter makes a very good point. You essentially created a parking lot on one of the oldest streets in the village, and I'm not saying that there aren't other front yard driveways in the area, but this very much looks like a parking lot, and the rendering doesn't help lessen that image. So I would really ask that you think about other locations in which you could either place or otherwise diminish the impact of essentially what is a front parking lot?
Right. Well, we are proposing an 8-foot clipped hedge across the front, so that
Greg, here's the irony. We're the architectural review.
Oh, I know.
You have somebody like Peter DeWitt, who I respect highly, as well as my other board members, saying what an interesting design this is. And I haven't heard from the other two board members, so they may have a different view. But you've got a great looking design. And now you're going to tell me you're going to hide it because for the sake of cars? Come on, that's backwards.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so use the same creative genius you did on the house to find a way to lessen the impact, and not by hedges. We want to see beautiful houses.
Will do. Will do.
Other board members?
I think it's a beautiful house. I like the way it fronts the street. Can you explain to me what the lighting situation is in the two stairwells? Because you've got a lot of sideways light heading toward neighbors in the stairwells.
Are you talking about lighting from the inside?
Yeah, because you've got, if those stairwells are lit up, then you've got all that light heading sideways to the neighbors on either side. That's my concern.
Well, I know we do have a large window here on either side. Typically what we will do is there will be a chandelier hanging in there. We don't tend to overlight anything. As a matter of fact, most of our clients complain that our houses are underlit. So there probably will be a decorative light in there, and that will be it. So I don't think they certainly won't be any sort of like huge bright lantern coming down.
I think Mark makes a good point, because, the window will be there. You could do a monumental window straddling the levels that would still, reduce the glass by, maybe 40% even.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'd still get the monumental effect. But then you're sort of making it like a bay, right? A shallow bay.
It is a bay, yes.
Well, I like the way it looks, but I share the concern about the, lighting up the neighborhood.
I agree with Mark and Peter. I like the way the house looks, but my only concern and consistent concern is the neighboring homes and the light that those huge windows on both sides will cause. And while we hear the intention is to have dim lighting, we can't tell the future, and right. I think that needs to be mitigated to prevent any issues from the neighbors on either side.
Well, this is a shallow bay. There are no windows on the side of this. It's just barely projecting out. So we certainly could look at just doing one larger window, maybe that even appears at the front like this,
right.
and then a smaller window underneath it on the part going down. So
okay.
I think I'd be totally open to that.
Yeah, that's just, the house is so beautiful. Just on that one side, it's pretty close to the property line on the east side.
Okay.
So that's just my only concern. I think it fronts the street beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, let me open it up to public comments.
No hands up, Jeff.
I'm sorry?
No hands up, Jeff.
Okay, so Greg, you've heard the comments from the board. I appreciate your reception to them. Before Greg asks for an adjournment, folks, any other comments you want to share with him? Okay, so Greg, will you be asking us, are you requesting an adjournment to make these edits and considerations?
Yes, so basically it's just the comments from the board are just the stair windows, is that correct?
No, we spoke about
and the parking, I'm sorry, yes.
Parking platform.
And the samples, the materials.
The samples.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so three things: parking, light pollution regarding the east elevation, and samples to be submitted to the building department. Okay.
Okay.
And as we requested all resubmissions, if you could have that in, Greg, by Thursday noon before the next meeting, that would be much appreciated.
Okay.
And the meeting is on the 25th, so whatever the Thursday is before that. Okay.
So I just need to have those in. I just need to have those in a week before the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Please make a digital submission as well.
Oh, will do. Will do.
Okay. Thank you. I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to our next meeting. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Alice, do you want people to call out individually? Or okay.
No, we just need to vote verbally.
Okay.
Aye.
Oh.
Aye.
John was mute, but we saw the hand
John,
raised, and I
John,
go
you're
aye
muted.
as well. Okay. All right.
Aye.
Thank you, Greg.
Great. Thanks so
All
much.
right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
So now we will return to the agenda. And so council has submitted a written decision for 9-2 CNL LLC for at 92 Cooper's Neck Lane. Alice, do you want to summarize that, and then we'll.
Isn't there a discussion item before that, Jeff?
Was there? Wait a second. I made.
Demo committee.
Oh yes, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I'm going off of a printed. Okay, so as the board members know, and as hopefully most of the public knows, a change in the code was implemented at this point, probably maybe almost 2 months ago, in which there can be greater transparency on demolition applications. And while there's no change for the procedure for anything within the historic district, those houses outside the historic district that are greater than 75 years are subject to an initial review.
70.
70, thank you, by a committee. And we did that to expedite the process so that not every house will have to go through the full board review and the time involved in posting and noticing. We currently do that for signs, and it's worked out very well. So we will mirror the sign committee with a demo committee of 2 people. My thought was, and this is for discussion to the board, that we rotate the people among that, between those 2 committees. And at this point, Sarah and John have been on the sign committee for the better part of what, 6-8 months, maybe even on a year at this point.
A year and a half.
A year and a half, but who's counting? And so without making a wholesale shift, I thought maybe we'd split the team up, and maybe John's or Sarah serve for another 3 months on that committee, and then we mix it up. But if you want to just switch committees now, such that Sarah and John become the demo committee, and now Peter and Mark are the sign committee for the next 6 months, and then we switch it back, I'm up for doing it any way.
I'm fine staying on the sign committee.
All right. So if John wants to stay on the sign committee, and Sarah, go ahead, Sarah.
I would suggest that we start out with what you have recommended, which is to have Peter and Mark be the demo committee. And then once everybody gets situated, then you leave the one that has been there the longest gets to rotate all. I mean, you switch it back without switching wholesale. Right. So that if somebody's been on the sign committee for their whole life, like me, I'm not marooned for the rest of my life, but if John and I were to leave at the same time, that would not leave somebody to train. Right. So I think that's my idea.
I agree. I would sort of kill the continuity too.
Okay. So Peter and Mark, you want to be the demo committee at least for the next months?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, I'm happy.
Okay, so it seems like we've discussed and seems like we have an agreement. So anything else on that, Alice, do you think, or that's?
If you could just vote on the appointment, that would be
Okay.
great.
Okay.
And can we set like a 6 months so that there's a rotation that
Well,
I think it, 6 months that it goes back on the agenda to discuss again, but I think we should vote each time everyone, switches around.
good. Just
okay.
don't forget.
Okay. So Sarah, why don't you put forward the motion?
I propose that Peter DeWitt and Mark McIntyre be named to the demolition committee and serve as long as 6 months, if not longer.
Well, why don't we say 6 months, and then we'll review.
Pending reappointment.
Okay. Is that sufficient, Alice?
Mm-hmm. Great.
Jackie, you got that?
Oh, we need a second and a vote.
I know. I just want to make sure that Jackie had it as Sarah said it.
Yep, all good.
Okay, great. So is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, from Peter. All in favor? Let's do it.
Aye.
So
Aye.
Mark, Peter, John, Sarah, and Jeff. Okay, great. Thank you. And yes, by all means, help me out on the agenda because I'm going back and forth between a hard copy and a digital.
92 Cooper's Neck is next.
Yep, okay.
Written decision.
Yep, thank you. I got that. Yep, okay, good. So written decision submitted by council for 92 CNL, which is 92 Coopers. Alice, do you want to summarize the decision and then we'll vote on it?
So the owner applied to the board for a certificate of appropriateness for a demolition of a garage and proposed construction of 2 additions, an attached garage. The board found the proposed demolition and construction to be appropriate, but the board also found that the existing dimensions of the porte cochere were important to the historic nature of the house and overall design and thus should not be altered. So the board approved the certificate of appropriateness for the remainder of the construction and the demolition. However, the porte cochere is to remain in its present location without alteration.
Yep. So has everybody had a chance to read that? Mm-hmm. Okay. I have as well, and I felt that Alice did as usual, a very succinct and direct handling of it. So it should be clear to everybody. So I move that we accept the written decision for 92 CNL LLC at 92 Cooper's Neck Lane as submitted by council. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Mark McIntyre. So orally, I vote aye.
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 Okay, so that's unanimous. Okay, great. So now we move on to demolition referrals, and we have 2.
"17 Henry Street is first.
Okay, great. So let me remind folks, because in speaking to some folks in the village, I think there's maybe a bit confusion. But as we said last week, in the last meeting, and Alice, you can correct me if I misstate anything, the board is empowered to do essentially one of 2 things, which is either to allow for a demo to take place or to proceed with landmarking, which is effectively denying the demolition. Is that, Alice, is that sufficient?
Correct.
So understand that, so there's no confusion. We are recognized that we are in our name very much concerned about historic preservation. We hope that the village residents share that concern. It's what makes this village special. We think that there are always options to tearing things down, and we encourage the village residents to look at that. whether you're a resident or whether you're a developer. Not the easiest way to tear things down is not necessarily the best way. So that said, let's hear the referrals. So the first one is 17 Henry Street. So whoever is presenting that, please raise
your hand.
Know you're here.
And if anybody has their name, can you just tell me? Oh, here we go. So this is Rafe Rastu coming in.
Okay.
And come on, you can do it. Takes a minute for the computer to bring him over. He should be in though. There. Okay, so I clicked for him to come over and something has happened. Let me bring.
So we'll give him another minute and then we'll call the next one and then go back if we need to.
Okay. All right, well, here's one. Oh, Ralph Rastu. Okay, so sir, you're in. Do you have any idea what happened to the other guy? And they're not answering me. Okay, Jeff, I'm gonna say to go back. I'll put this guy back where he was.
Somebody else is coming in.
Yeah, he just came over.
There's two of them.
Yeah, there is.
It's Ralph squared.
Okay, Ralph, start your sound so we can hear you, please. All right, he's got problems with audio, I think. Ask to start video. Let's try this one. Ask to unmute. Can you see my links asking you to unmute? Hello?
Am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Oh, God, see that? My internet connection is spotty, it says. So.
Okay, talk fast.
Yeah, talk quick. I am representing the owners on the property. I am currently in discussions with them to buy the property. They had asked if we could go before the board and see if they would consider allowing demolition of the property. As far as I know, it was built in 1954. I don't know. Again, it's a whole new process as far as demolition is concerned within the village. So wasn't really prepared with any type of speech or any type of information regarding the house. Just really looking for the board's direction on it, being that this is one of the first or second ones I believe that the board has addressed with demolition. Was that quick enough?
That was good.
Okay, so actually, the board reviews demolition applications on a fairly regular basis. So this is not a first. Now it is a first under the current conditions, which were put in place to provide more disclosure. The criteria by which a building is considered is the same as it's existed. So I would ask that you read, and I don't have it in front of me, but the section in the code, chapter 65, that deals with the criteria. It has to do, yes, with the age, but also with, among other things, whether it was inhabited by a notable person, whether it was designed by a notable architect, whether it represents a particular style, and whether it connotes and represents a particular aspect of the village, that the village, that speaks to the history of the village, that speaks to the village's nature, special being. So I would ask that you review that, the code. But for starters, you know, when I look at this house, and like John Gregory, we live nearby, and I don't know, John, if you walked on Henry Street and looked at the house, it's very much of a four-square design, which is a dying breed. It was very much a part of this village, and it's one of the type of houses that's been lost. So there's a desire to maintain that. You mentioned that the house was built in 1954. Do you have any records that attest to that?
Only what I was told by the building department. I believe the CO they had was issued, or the building permit was 1954. That's the only information I have with regards to that.
Okay. So for starters, Ralph, what I would like to do is have now establish a demo committee, is to, with the demo committee, review some of the history of the house. But before going much further than that, I'd like to open it up to the board.
It looks to me like, it was built between 1910 and 1900, 1920 to me.
Mhm.
It looks authentic. And I would really love to see the bulk of it, the block of it stay. And I would certainly be happy to entertain an addition to the side and to the back. It is a wide lot. Something set back, differentiated in some way so that you could see what would remain. Would be, I think, the most satisfying outcome. And it doesn't even have to be traditional. If you wanted to go modern, you could do something modern. You could do what you like. So that's what I'd like to see.
This is 17 Henry Street. Is that what you're talking about?
1700 Street.
Yes.
So now, as I was
going to say, there is an application.
All right. Okay. So as I said, the board has, at this point, only one of two directions it can head. And Peter's addressing part of that, which is the actual, no, wait.
Go back.
Yeah, well, what's that 1917 date?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at.
Where was it?
It said February 1917. Yep, right there. Oh, go back.
Right there. Under Old Horse Association.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Eagle
the file.
eye.
What's that, Peter?
Eagle eye.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Peter that, again, the context of the neighborhood, first of all, it does appear to be older than 1954. I agree there. And there's context in the neighborhood of similar homes. So it's not as if this house is in a neighborhood surrounded by ranch homes and other types of newer properties. The context has a different meaning here for me than some other things we've reviewed. So I think it's worth investigation.
Yeah. And Alice, I want to be conscious of any other guidelines in terms of timing on this. But the board obviously wants to do its homework. What direction can you provide us in terms of when we have to get back on things?
Yeah, just give me a minute, okay?
Isn't it usually the owner that makes such a presentation rather than the man who might be purchasing it?
Yeah, that does seem a bit weird to me as well.
Well, if he has authorization to represent the owner, and presumably that's in the file, then that would be fine, correct, Alice?
Correct.
Yeah, that is the case.
There's
Jeff.
a letter in the file.
Okay.
So anyway, Ralph, I think it would behoove you to look at the codes that guide us. And also some of the pamphlets that the building department puts out. And I'm just looking at the one here.
So Jeff, we still have the 30-day limitation.
Yes, so.
When does that clock start?
From the date of the referral.
So that would be from today?
I would say it's today.
Yes, okay. All right, but we're gonna, I think we should have a fair amount, a much better understanding within our meeting in a couple of weeks. And some more questions may come out of that. So Ralph, we'll do our homework. I ask that you do the same. And if you haven't already done so, I take a look at, I don't know if you have my screen. Kat, am I on video?
Yeah, here, let me stop the share. There you go.
Okay, so this pamphlet, whoa, oh, it's labeled, I don't know, you can't see it.
There you go, right there.
Okay,
Right.
I saw that quick, yeah.
Yeah, although it's labeled Historic District Guide for Homeowners, you know, it's the basis upon which we consider a demolition. Secondly, I would recommend, and the village department has this too, which is a much bigger thing. Where can I get out of it? There it is. What the hell? Yeah, well.
I can stop by and ask
Anyway,
Jackie.
it's a big, thick thing. It says, Jackie knows what I'm talking about. Architectural design guidelines for historic districts and landmarks. And so you do that, we'll do our stuff. As this is a referral, does it even need an adjournment, Alice?
No.
Okay, so let's reconvene in a couple of weeks' time at our next meeting on October 25th, okay?
Okay, sounds good. And Jeff, just to be clear on it, I didn't, mean that the board has not done demolition review. It's this new process for the new houses, not in the historic district. That's what I meant by that. And, from what I understand, the rules are kind of like being written as we speak. So I wasn't quite.
So the rules were written 2 months ago, and it took about a year's worth of time to get to that point. And the same guidelines apply as have before. The only difference is that the timeline was shortened. And if this house was built in 1917, you would have been coming before the board anyway. Or at least you should have. And we established a committee so that it wasn't, the decision-making wasn't out of public view in the building office, but the same guidelines and the same checklist apply. So from that standpoint, no property rights have been diminished.
Yeah, no, again, I didn't mean, like I said, to diminish that or anything. I didn't mean that they were being written as we speak. It's just, coming to light, and I wasn't aware of it. So I appreciate, the openness and the information, and, I'll get the necessary information from Jackie and, the documentation to present at the next meeting then, or the meeting that, follows.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks, Ralph. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay. The next referral is Dale Street, 63 Dale Street.
Jeff, it's Jackie, if I may. I'm sorry. You know what? For these two referrals, I'm glad that Ralph was on. I'm not sure if the next owner is going to be on for Dale Street. Since these were more of just referral items, I'll be honest, I kind of advised that it would be discussions amongst you guys as a board.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you that heads up. This one was a little tough because I didn't have the resources to determine the age of the home. So to err on the side of caution, it's before you guys tonight.
Jackie, what's their name?
Monica?
Last name?
Klug, I believe.
Yeah, she's in. Okay.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll stop them. Sorry.
All right, she's coming in, Jeff.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, Monica. Unmute, please. Oh, there you go. And start your video. Here's another link for you. There we go. Hi, Monica.
Hello.
Hey, Monica. So Monica, tell us who you are and where you live and your relationship to the property.
I'm the applicant for Margaret Lewis, who is the owner of the property. And I'm in Spionk, New York.
Okay, and we have a letter in the file that you represent her, or maybe it's a referral to Alice. Maybe it's not even necessary. I don't know.
Well, I think we'd still want to know that the person
Yeah.
who's speaking on behalf of the owner is authorized to do so.
Right. So do we have that in the file?
Yes,
We do.
yes, there's an owner authorization letter that
Okay.
I submitted with the application.
Okay. So Monica, you're good to go. Tell us, and if you were listening to the discussion before, you probably understand our concerns and the things we'd like to know in terms of the age of the house and the condition of the house.
Yes, I'm sorry that I don't know the exact age of the house, but I know that it was built before 1950, and a complete application was submitted, and asbestos abatement was already performed, and the report was submitted with the application. The house is surrounded by ranch style homes on either side, number 57 and also number 75 Dale Street. And across the street, the houses are relatively newer as well.
Right.
Wow.
What do we look at here? Hold on.
63 Dale Street photos
Yep.
that were submitted.
Yeah.
Those are the submitted files that were sent to us.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah. What's the condition of the house?
The house is not in great condition.
Okay.
Their internet is spotty.
Members, do you have questions of Monica? You know, like the other one, I think this, you know, it justifiably deserves a little bit of homework.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at one point it had another type of siding from the an earlier photograph. It looks like they peeled off either aluminum or vinyl siding, and it's clearly older than anybody thinks.
Yeah, it looks like an old farmhouse or a manager's house or something like that. Monica, do you know any of the history of the house?
I apologize that I don't.
Yeah, that's
and
okay.
I do know that during the asbestos abatement, that's when some of this siding had to come down.
Of course.
Yeah.
I would recommend further analysis into the history of the house, whether through map work or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, Alice, we're going to do a little homework on this and try to have something, you know, that we can talk about in the next couple of weeks. Guys, I don't want to subject you to more work than is necessary. On the other hand, we do have time requirements. But and Jackie, you were saying the building department has some records, but not all records, and that there's a bit of a gap somewhere.
Yeah, so roughly from 1932 until this date of, or rolling date of 1951, there is a gap in records, just because of the mapping that we use.
Right. Now, it's not that they're totally lost. It's just that there's a bit of a gap. So, okay, so there's some homework we have to do. Board members, any other comments before we send Monica on her way? I don't think there's anything for Monica to do, is there? Or would you like, or do you have certain requests of her? You know, it would be good, Monica. Any title information that you have in terms of title history, I'm sure at some point the owners had to do a title search, and probably in that title search it went back. So if that's something you could find and provide, that would be helpful and could expedite the process.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, but I don't know how helpful it would be because it's not going to tell us, you know, what was there, but it could tell us if there was, I guess, a historic person associated.
Yeah, yeah. Could help us also triangulate to the age, do you think?
Maybe.
Some of the
Maybe.
maps are on the internet also. The town of Southampton has the 1925 maps and I think the 1916 maps online.
Oh,
Right.
good.
Okay. All right. So Monica, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, Monica. Okay, so now let me go back to,
Jane Claire has her hand up, so I'm going to let her in.
oh, okay.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, thanks for letting me in.
Yeah, Jane, tell us who you are. Are you speaking?
Yes, who I am.
Okay, I'm sorry. Since, well, perhaps to Ralph's point, the process is a little bit new, so
Yes.
I perhaps should have asked for public comment, but you're public, so please tell us.
Okay, thank you. I am a member of the planning board.
Okay,
And
good.
just recently I have been added to the planning commission.
Oh, good.
And my homework was to find out some things about the historic district. And I was lucky enough to come across Laura and Peter and find out all kinds of things. And I just want to say, I'm so excited about the whole concept that maybe we're going to save our gem of a village. So I want to say thank you to everyone and keep up the good work.
Okay.
Jane?
Yeah, we're suckers for compliments. So thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I was
Thank
speaking
you.
to Bill Manger, who's also heading up that project.
Yes.
And he mentioned your involvement. So yes, and I would like to get our other board members in the process. Sarah, as you may know, was the village historian for a while and is well steeped in that. So, and
I met with, it was Sarah, not Laura, that met with.
Oh, so sorry.
That's all right, but so we're acquainted. We spent
Yes.
a couple of hours together. Thank you.
all right, good. So we've got a wealth of information here. And like I said at the beginning of this meeting, we all share a common concern. So thanks, Jane, appreciate that. So,
Thank you.
all right, and now let's continue on. See you, Jane. Okay, so for the record, I will read out the following. There's no sense, I don't think, Alice, we have to vote on any of these unless you tell us to.
We need to vote on and by the way trust, and they are looking to adjourn to December.
Okay, so then we'll just so we have it for the record, we'll do it on all of them. So
I was also going to suggest that we make them reposted notice since it's December.
Okay, good point.
It's been a long time.
Good point. All right, so on the advice of council, I move that we accept the applicant's request and by the way, trust subtrust A and B to adjourn to December 13th with the proviso that they repost and notice as prescribed. In other words, 10 days before. We good on that, Alice? Yep. Okay. So might I have a second on that, please?
Second.
Second from Peter DeWitt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, aye. Okay. Next application.
May I just say something really quickly?
Yes.
I went to the site and the building itself is intact and but very thirsty. And is there any way to make certain that the applicant continues to care for the building while this process goes on?
In that it's in the historic district, they're obligated to do so.
All right.
I plan on being in Village Hall tomorrow and will advise Tim of a general concern for that
Good.
all the historic properties, that it has been something raised by the trustees. So I will share that with him. So let me just put that down to do.
The idea of demolition by neglect is something that scares me.
Sure. So maintenance and repair is required under 6510 in the code.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Number 2, although it's posted, here's number 3, Oris Bliss, 88 Meadow Lane. The applicant requests an adjournment to November 9th. I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to November 9th. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye as well. So that's unanimous. Okay, then number 3 is Beechwood Latch at 109 Hill Street. 109 Hill Street. They requested an adjournment to October 25th, which is our next meeting. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
That's a second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. By the way, can you folks hear me well? I'm using my computer.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Sound great.
Yeah. Yeah. I only wish my voice sounded an octave lower, but okay. So now we are looking at the application of 5050 Hill Street LP. That's one in which Alice is recused. So Jeff Blinkoff will step in for a moment.
I'll bring in. John Bennett's coming in.
Okay.
Jeff Blinkoff's coming in.
Okay.
All right, John, you're in. Very good.
Right. So on this application, we agreed at the last meeting to request some additional information, and that it was also agreed among the parties and the board that it would be closed to public comment and just be open for written submission. I to have that additional information in by Thursday of last week. I submitted it to the file today. I said in the last meeting something about living in and throwing stones. So I need to deliver it to both John and Jeff Bragman, some stones to throw. But nonetheless, John Bennett did respond in writing. That has been submitted to the file. Mr. Bragman, his office has indicated that they will do likewise. So it's now for us. John, I see you shaking your head. But
yeah, because it's contrary to what you said before.
Well, I said it's close to, and I'm going to ask. So in fairness, we said it would be closed. I was late in getting it out. I got your brief. You were very timely, very quick. And there's stuff in there that deserves reading. And so let us read that. And if Bragman wants to submit something, he can. We'll review that. And I think we'll be in a position to vote next week. Jeff Blinkoff, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I have nothing to add as to that. The matter had been put over, but I think in fairness, if all are given the brief amount of time to respond, that would complete the record.
I have an objection.
Okay. The objection is duly noted.
No, I'd like to explain my objection.
Okay.
Okay. At the last meeting, Mr. Bragman was not present. At the last meeting, it was specific. You can review the tape. The first meeting, 5 members said they had no problem with demolition. They went on the record with reasons. The second, at the last.
No. I just hold right there.
Let me finish.
No. You're misstating the record.
Don, let me finish. I'm not misleading anything. The tape will speak for itself.
So, right. So here's you guys.
Don't interrupt me.
Here's what I want to do in terms of the process. I don't want us to revisit the claims. If we're talking about the process and the process only from the last meeting,
Fine.
John, I said I do the objection, but I really don't want to revisit the whole case. Okay,
I'd like to continue, however, then.
yes.
At the
Continue.
last meeting, the tape and the record will speak for itself. Mr. Bragman wasn't present, and that was noted. And you said, Mr. Broadleaf, that you wanted to have some time to reach out to another expert.
Yes.
So I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. And then finally at 11:30, I got something today. I turned around quite a significant submission based upon that in about 3 hours, but it was specific what was said. Closed. The only thing that was held open for was for me, it was closed to public comment. Go back and look at the tape. The only thing that it was held open for, because I said that I need, at a minimum of due process, the ability, and you'll remember that specific language, the ability to respond to anything that was going to be put in. And interestingly enough, the same stuff that was put in today, you put in a letter, somebody put in a letter from Sally Spanberg from 10 years ago, which again thinks that this building was built in 1910, and we've proven.
Again, I don't want to go into the specifics.
Right. And then some uncredentialed, not uncredentialed, another thing, which is just that blog, which Mr. Bragman has been putting in, but wait a minute, there's no one, it doesn't say who wrote that. Okay. There's no documentation.
We'll look at it in that context.
All right, but what I'm saying is that the purpose this was left open was for the limited purpose for me to respond, because you said it was closed to public comment. The limited reason it was left open was for me to respond to what you said, Jeff, was going to be something from another expert. And I said that would be contrary to any basic due process concepts to have me not have the opportunity to respond to that. And if you go back to the tape, it was left open for one reason and one reason only, for me to respond, if necessary, to what you were going to put in.
Right. So I will go back to the tape, but my intention, whether I parsed words correctly or not, was that the public discussion had been closed in terms of oral discussion, but that written submissions were nonetheless allowed. And Jeff Blinkoff, if you want to add anything to that.
I think that in fairness to all, I understand what Mr. Bennett is saying, but the other piece of it is that due process doesn't only run to one party, it certainly runs to everybody. And the idea was that there was a written submission, public comment had been closed, that relates to all the public. I appreciate Mr. Bennett's submission. It was turned around very quickly and was quite extensive, but I think that it would also run to allow, in fairness, to Mr. Bragman to respond, but he should respond quickly.
So when do I get the response?
Mr. Bennett turned it around very
response to Mr. Bragman, because I'm the applicant.
Okay. Let me address that with him directly and see if we can get a turnaround as quickly as you did, John, which was pretty much same day. So let me work towards that end. Let the board review the not only that which you just submitted, but the file in its entirety, and let's get this thing over with the next hearing.
Okay, so when are we going to know when Mr. Bragman is going to put his stuff in so that I will have an opportunity to respond?
Let me speak to him.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Chairman, if public comment's being closed, it's either closed or it's not closed. So is Mr. Bennett asking for the ability to be the last one to present? I just want to be clear on the record as to what will happen. If that's Mr. Bennett, I just want to be clear. If the board chooses to allow you to have the last word, I just wanted to be clear for the record.
Well,
that
of course, I'm the applicant. Of course, I get the last
Mr. Bennett, well, that's not an of course, Mr. Bennett.
That isn't of course. That's the way that the state civil practice law and rules works, and that's the way that this village has worked for the 40 years that I've been practicing for it. Yes, that is.
And that, Mr. Bennett, so I'm asking to make that clear as to how the board will be proceeding. That's why I'm asking the question.
I'm happy to proceed on that basis. Allow me to contact Mr. Bragman. Let me expedite this. I will then in turn call John and share with him and publicly into the file a timeline that will get this thing expedited. I want to get it off the calendar by the end of next meeting, by the meeting. Okay, John?
Yeah, I understand what's happened here, though. I have turned around. Please don't shake your head. I've turned around.
I'm shaking my head, yes.
Very, very factual and very extensive with all my submissions. And all I get is chimeras from everybody. And it's not appropriate and it's not fair.
Duly noted. And let me do what I said. So at the chair's request, let me adjourn this or continue it to our next meeting while I do exactly what
Mr. Chairman.
I want to add one more thing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Let me hear from Jeff.
I'm advised that counsel for the applicant is present. The counsel for the neighbors is present. That Mr. Bragman is present.
But yeah, but I see. This is what I don't want this to be a public discussion, because now we're reverting back to it.
That's fine.
We're only talking about the process. If Jeff Bragman wants to give me a time, Jeff Blinkoff, in terms of when he would resubmit, but I don't want to go through a whole pissing match as to how much time Mr. Bragman needs, how much time. I mean, Mr. Bennett turned it around in the same day. So that's the bogey.
Okay.
24
so
hours.
Then,
if we're going to be fair, let's be fair, goose to gander.
So then I'd ask if there is a motion to put this over to the next meeting of the board.
That's what I would like to do. Okay, so we're set on the motion?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
A second.
Need a second.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll get a call or a text from for an email from someone.
Yeah.
Thank you for your intercession, Mr. Broadleaf. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now, Jeff, I know you're going to be phasing out. Alice, Jeff is replaced by Alice.
Thank you so much. Good night now.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your input. Okay. So let me just make a note of what I have to do tomorrow to do. And turn around. And okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, folks. So now 2 more adjournments. BHNH LLC at 109 Hampton Road. The applicant requested adjournment to our next meeting on October 25th. I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn. Do I have a second on that?
Isn't this
from John? A second. And then all in favor to accept the adjourn? Okay, so Sarah, John, Mark, Peter, did you raise your hand? I didn't see. Okay, yeah, okay.
Can we have a caveat with this one too?
Well, I know this is on my list of things to talk about to 10, in terms of work continuing. So there's this, and I know we also have it in regard to 31 Roscoe. So Post Crossing LLC, this is adjourned pending ZBA approval, so I don't think there's anything for us to move on. So let's literally move on to driveway gates in the historic district. The application of DCK Wyndham LLC at 35 Herrick Road has requested an adjournment to October 25th. I move that we accept the applicant's request. Do I have a second on that?
second?
Second from Peter DeWitt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Okay. Now a driveway request from Michael and Nina Whitman at 36 First Neck Lane. Okay. So looking at the wrong one here.
I have affidavits on this, Jeff.
Okay. There's Mark.
I am here.
All right. So Mark, tell us who you are, who you represent,
Welcome.
your firm and address.
I'm Mark Cirillo from Auto Gate Systems.
Mark, what happened? You used to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
You switched from the tropical Bahamas to, it looks like you're in a ski lodge.
The winter mode.
I'm home here at Pine Springs. Welcome to my fireside chat.
All right. Okay.
This is the live view. So.
All right. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I'm representing Michael and Nina Whitman, 36 First Neck Lane, Southampton Village, for their application for driveway gates.
Okay. So why don't you tell us, you've been down this road before, the dimensions, the material, the paints, the colors, the lights, the mechanisms.
Yes, I don't have a picture either.
You don't have a drawing?
No, I don't. No.
Jackie, do you have one? Oh, you're at home. Let me see if this.
Mark, do you have it? Can you share screen?
I thought Derek had sent this one. Hold on.
Oh, there we go.
Not Derek sent it.
We need to share it. We can't see that.
Yeah. Let me just hold on a second. Let me see if it came in.
Mark, can you hold it up again for 1 second? I just spotlighted you, so maybe that'll help a little. Back towards you, and then up a little bit. Right there.
Just let me know when I can put it down.
Yeah, I don't see a digital version. So Mark, in the future, while we're virtual,
you can put it down.
We need you to submit something digitally as well. Fellow board members, do you have hard copies?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. So the public has seen what you have. So again, take us through the gate, and the whole thing.
Okay. So there's existing columns at the First Neck Lane driveway now, which are made of wood and rotting, and they're going to come down. The driveway gates will go in that same location. So the gates are wood clad over steel frames. They are painted Akoya white, 1.5 inch square pickets with 1.5 inch spacing. So it's a 50% open screening. The gates will terminate at 6 feet in height at the hinge side. Plus we're allowed for 4 to 5 inches of ground clearance. One driveway there's 2 driveways on this property, right? So it's a corner lot, the First Neck Lane driveway and Culver Street driveway. Same gates, both driveways. Property got significant hedge that's been there for some time. So the hedge is very tall and quite thick. So the property is private with the exception of the driveway openings. The columns are Versatex clad over steel posts with traditional flat recessed panels on 4 sides with bead molding, pyramid lead-coated copper caps, plinth base, everything finished in white enamel, satin enamel. Fully featured in-ground hydraulic gate automation, our standard for our company. And that's it.
What's the material of the pickets?
Akoya, wood.
Oh, the pickets are
wood.
So
okay.
now it's wood, but in all fairness, and I'd like to see a sample in the painted as you propose. Akoya is defined as a modified wood and it's considered a low maintenance wood. I'm not familiar with it. Other board members may. I don't know whether it's a compressed wood product. I would to some extent it is, but I'd like to see how it looks finished, because this house is very much an historic house, and we're replacing wood, albeit rotted. I'd like to make sure that it doesn't look anything less than wood.
Okay, Akoya is not a manufactured wood in any type. It's pine. It's radiata pine from California. The trade name Akoya and the company that markets it treats it with vinegar and salt, and that prevents rot. Otherwise, it is white pine.
Okay. It also
so my wood shop in Yaphank smells like a potato chip factory.
All right. So I appreciate that, but I'm from, what's the expression, from Missouri, hardly given my accent, but if you could provide us with a sample, that would help a lot. Let's talk about the design, the mechanism, any lights. I know there's one existing light on the left facing column, but it's on the right side, but I don't see lights on your design.
Yeah, the lighting is coming down. There's one light that's there, one light is gone. Right, they were there as when the client purchased the property.
Okay, folks, comments on the design, the dimensions?
Just to be clear,
the columns will be exactly the same height as the ones that are there now, or lower?
The columns here will be 84 inches. So they're going to be.
I know, but
they're going to be lower than. They're going to be lower. The present columns are 8 foot.
So it's 96 inches.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the current columns are pretty substantial. So if these are lowers, I think that will help. Board members with comments?
I just wanted to clarify. You said there are 2 gates. Both are being replaced with this design, correct?
There's no gates now. There's columns at 2 driveways that are coming down. So each driveway will get the exact same gate. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the board?
I think the design is fine. I would like to see the spacing be a little bit bigger. Maybe go to 2-inch space. Just it's kind of dense.
Well, we are meeting your 50%.
Well, I don't think so.
Well, we're an inch and a half apart.
No, I know, but now when you count the solid framing and stuff, you know what I mean?
So, Mark, this sort of falls into one of the comments on the Toilson project. That's a beautiful house. And I realize people want privacy, but we also want to showcase beautiful houses. So I think a little bit more spacing on the pickets would help display a beautiful house and make what's one of the most significant streets in the village a little bit more welcoming. So I support Peter's comment. So I'd like to see a sample of the wood in the finish. I'd also would suggest reviewing with your client a little bit more spacing and take that as a compliment to their house.
Yeah, I understand.
Go ahead. I was going to suggest potentially a lower slope toward the middle, but I'd be happy with a wider gap between the slats as well.
Yeah, number 50 has a considerably transparent opening. I'm not saying that it has to be that wide, but standing next to the 2 properties, it was interesting to see.
Yeah.
I feel like this gate's a little higher than we sometimes like, but I think the height is appropriate to the property. I think if we could achieve the 2-inch spacing, then I think it'd be a home run.
Okay.
Very well. I mean, I'll discuss with the owners. Just keep in mind, though, when we talk about, and I know exactly where you're coming from. in the curb appeal or visual sight lines from the street. But these driveways, both driveways, are far to the right. The house is situated to the left. So the driveway, as you come in the driveway, you're not facing the house. You have to turn left. So the driveway entrance is basically facing their backyard pool area, which is got a second row of hedges inside. That's it.
Right. Yeah, we understand that. We've all viewed the property, and with viewing the property, we still have the same shared request, which is to make the spacing wider.
So we go from 1.5 inches to 2 inches, yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll propose that to the clients and
then provide us samples of the wood mark, okay?
sure. Just so we're clear, that is not a composite wood though. It is not any.
I understand. I understand.
White pine.
Right. We understand. We just want to look at it. And
Right.
okay. And then before you go, I want to ask you one more question while I have you, but not
Sure.
about the property. So any public comment?
No hands up, Jeff.
Okay. So Mark, you're going to ask us for an adjournment to come back with a new design, or at least slightly changed design.
At your request, I'll discuss with the client. So I'll request an adjournment.
Okay. I move that we, without any public comment, I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to our next meeting. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, second by Peter DeWitt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mark, just before you head out, I think there's some unfinished business at 445 Hill Street. That was to be replaced with mahogany. I don't think that's been done yet, but I'm not a wood expert.
Sir. No, sir.
Okay, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, that's been replaced.
Okay, if it's been replaced, then so be it.
With the wood gates that we submitted to the board, yep, to the same design, yep. The aluminum gates are removed.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, take care.
From Pine Springs. Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
The wood is warm here in Southampton. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, so we now move to, let's see, public hearings, non-historic. We've got the Polish Political Club, that's still on hold. We've got the Heart of the Hamptons, that's adjourned pending site plan approval. So the next application to be heard is that of Leland Abrams at 187 Meeting House Lane. And that is a resubmission on a two-story building with various alterations.
Okay, I'm bringing Brian Glasser in.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
You made it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yep. I'm
Thank
here.
you for helping me out with that, just signing in. I was getting a little worried there with the timing and everything, but I'm on. So good afternoon, everybody. Brian Glasser, architect, PC, representing 187 Meeting House Lane. I'm not sure if you guys want me to share my screen or if you guys want to share it, and I could explain which areas to go to.
I don't have this one either, you guys.
Well, let's see. That one I think, that one we have. So hold on a second. I'm pretty sure I do.
I could share my screen if it's easier too.
We can't do that if at all possible. So just
hold on 1 second. Let me see my mail.
You're on here, Kat. You're on this email.
Okay, wait, let me just 187.
From Thursday at 2:40.
Yeah, I don't see it. When was it?
Thursday, 10/7 at 2:40.
10/7.
Yeah, here it is. I'll
I
forward.
just resent it to you.
Okay, so you sent it to Kat?
Yep,
Okay.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
my pleasure.
And that was at my SHB.
Yeah.
That went to SHB. Yes. Okay. I don't see it. I still don't see it.
Yeah, no, I don't see. Oh, I see Village of Southampton. It went to, yeah, SHBB.
Yeah, that's what I'm on. I'm not seeing it. So I'm looking though. I'm looking.
And if you want, I can share my screen.
Why don't you do that, Jeff? Because it's not coming
Okay.
through. I don't know why. Weird.
All right, let me see how to do this.
Okay, so you choose your picture, Jeff.
Okay, hold on a
And then,
second.
yep. You know.
Let me just do this. Let me do that. Let me just get here. Hold on, share screen. And I think it's this one here. Oh, hold on, let me just do one thing. Shoot. Okay.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
But now I can't see it. Where the heck is it for me? Oh, there we go. Let me make this big. Okay. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so why don't you direct me to whatever slides you want us to see?
Jeff, I think if we just go to the very end, it shows the renderings. That will probably, I can explain everything right there. If we have to go to technical drawings, we can go to that. I guess right there, if you want to just zoom in, or if everyone can see, basically one of the comments about the existing cottage or pool house structure was you guys recommended to take off the second story, the transom windows above the sliding windows, which were done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give it a little bit, have a little bit more cedar wrapping around the top of the sliding door. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Did I go too far?
Just got to go up a little bit.
Yes. And go up a little bit. There's a picture of the pool house.
Yeah. Right. And then scroll over.
Yeah, I've got to go over.
You're almost there. Yep.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Oh, that looks very nice.
Yeah. I'm actually, a lot of the comments as I went through the steps and doing these changes, it made, like I'm happy about it too. So it made me feel good. I was like, you know what, that makes sense. I think it looks nice, clean, simple. It's a little bit more transitional looking, but I think that was something that you guys would be pleased with. And then if we go down to the last, Jeff, you want to go to the last image? That probably shows the front rendering the best. So, so some of the comments that you guys brought to my attention were, if we were to start with the front porch, the original column placement wasn't balanced. So I ended up getting it so the column placement was equal. And I tried, I reworked the internal floor plan so that the front door was centered on the two columns, and then the columns to the left and the right of the center columns were balanced out. Got rid of the entrance, to the garage, changed the powder room around a little bit, which I think worked out nice. We had 4 windows, double hung windows on the second story for the foyer. Reduced that down to 3, which I think it worked out nice. It's balanced in the space in the foyer, which is nice. Probably have a chandelier there letting it, I think that will look elegant, like looking through. One of the other comments was, if we were to look at the dormer to the left over the garage, originally there was a reverse gable there. Ended up changing that to a shed gable, shed dormer. It kind of breaks down the massing of another reverse sticking up at, roughly, say 30 feet. So that helped break the massing down a little bit more, which I think you guys were going for from the beginning. And now if we were to go to the rear elevation, we could probably go to the rendering or the 2-dimensional drawings. But the one thing that I wasn't sure about originally was I kept reducing the size of the covered porch, then realizing that on the last meeting, you said you basically just wanted that upper balcony to not be a large open deck. So I ended up adding a 4-foot roofed apron wrapping around. And on the floor plans, you could see, I mean, I show like 2 seats and, you know, like a table. It definitely, we cut down quite a bit of square footage by adding a 4-foot apron. So that drastically reduced it. And it's only coming off of the master bedroom. So I can't see like large gatherings up there. Those were pretty much all the comments that you guys gave me, which I think it really helped out.
Yeah, you also changed, didn't you also change the side lights on the front door?
Changes, that was another thing. The side lights were a little bulkier and a little bit more, there's more glass. We reduced that so that the proportion matched the transom above. Yes. Yep. I forgot about that.
I think you resolved the front door and the porch really nicely.
Yeah.
And I so much prefer the shed dormer. My only complaint is the windows over the garage. If you could, you know, in the south elevation, if they have to, do they have to dig into the roof? Can we go back up to the other elevation?
You mean like over here, Peter?
Yeah, because they dig into the roof, and I think that's a bathroom. You could have the windows be higher. Yeah, if they could be higher and fill up the dormer, I think it would be nicer. You could do 3 even.
Is that an actual cutout there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. Let me just double check here.
And I think the smaller window, it's a bathroom, you know, you don't want, I mean, it's
Yeah.
nice having windows up high, I think, in that instance. And that's really.
We could match the windows that are over the front door. They're probably about I would say almost 6 inches smaller, maybe.
I think that would look great.
So you're saying these, let's say these 2 versus 3, put them over here?
That's correct.
Just to get them out of the, I don't like the pocket. You know, it's just,
yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah, it's a subtle difference, but I think Peter's onto something. I think a better looking house.
The windows in the rest of the facade as well. I kind of,
yeah.
Really nice. Thank you. Really nice. That's really all I have to say. And I don't, you know, I object to the cut in. I think does the stair hall window cut in too?
Slightly, ever so. It might not actually.
Yeah, it'd be better if you.
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't in this rendering. It doesn't really. It's gonna blend in. I have it kind of shown on the elevation, but when I get into my sections, I could make that probably. I just got to change the pitch of the roof a little bit.
Yeah, you know, these little things. I know it's persnickety, but I think it makes a difference. You know, when you see the house on the street at the end of the day.
Yeah, it shows a little bit of a cut in here.
Yeah.
As it does here.
That one's a little bigger, but I think if we make the window smaller on the bathroom side, we could probably mitigate that.
Yeah, and I think the same windows there are very nice. You know, it's a repeat further back. I think it's nice.
Okay, all right. Brian, I think you've heard some good comments, and I appreciate your receptivity to this point. I think you can tell by the board's comments that you're doing a great job. Any other comments from the board before I ask for public comment?
No, I think with those, thank you for addressing the front door. And I think with Peter's change to the windows, I think then you're there.
I agree.
All right. So any public comment?
No hands up, Jeff.
Okay. So Brian, you're going to be asking for an adjournment, correct?
Can we just, can I get this approved based on these changes? I mean, these are so minor. I mean, to go another 2 weeks, it's been like, will be the 5th time coming up. Yeah. If I make these changes, you guys would see it. And, you know, I've had it before. We can mark it up and just change it like in person.
Let me ask Alice. I mean, unfortunately, this is one of the problems that we have with being virtual. Alice, if we were live, you could mark it. The actual copy.
You're on mute, Alice. Sorry.
I have the same answer that I've had, which is that without being in the room where the architect can mark the plans in front of us, we put them in the file and approve them. It can't happen virtually. I wish it could, but it can't.
We don't want anything to come back and bite us in the rear end.
It's happened, huh?
All right. So yeah, you've heard it from our council. So as much as we would all love not to see you again, Brian. We look forward to seeing you again.
All right. Moving forward, do I have to have the renderings redone and all that
No.
stuff?
No.
Or can we just do a two-dimensional drawing?
No, just
No.
a 2D drawing.
Elevations.
Just two-dimensional elevation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. All right.
All right. So I hear you saying you wish to adjourn, or maybe that's too strong a word, but that you are asking us to adjourn.
Yeah.
In which case, I move that we accept your request. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. And screen share. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So, okay, aye as well. Kat, you want to stop me from screen sharing, or do I do that?
It's
She
already done a while ago.
Oh, she did? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So now, let me get my stuff in order here, folks. Okay. All right. The next.
Are you done with Brian?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Brian.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, the next application is an adjournment request to adjourn by 31 Roscoe Developer LLC. And that was an adjournment to October 25th. I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn. I've also, as I indicated before, I'll mention this to Tin, this particular project. Do I have a second on the request to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye as well. Okay, so let's move on to our next ambulant. Okay. The application is by Peter Bianco at 64 Box Hollow Lane.
Okay, William Gorman is coming in.
For an accessory pavilion. Okay.
I have William Gorman in, Jeff.
Okay, William, tell us who you are, who you represent, and your firm. Also tell us whether you go by William, Will, or Bill.
Hi, Bill Gorman here.
Yeah, that answers that. Okay.
I
One of the
am,
questions.
I'm representing the Bianco family for an accessory pavilion. I'm hoping you guys have the digital copy because my camera is
Okay. Good. Alice, are we good on affidavits?
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay.
This is what I have.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. So we're proposing a pavilion on the back of the house. It's going to match the roof shingles, and it's going to be composed of 10 by 10 fiberglass columns. Everything will, with white trim. It'll all be white. It's an open pavilion. It has a wall that will have a, I don't know if you can see it, but it'll have an outdoor kitchen, countertop. There won't be a stove. There won't even be a refrigerator. It'll just be cabinets for preparation and storage. And that's really about it. So it's 22 feet wide. The width of the garage, comes out 20 feet from the garage. It forms this small little courtyard, two-sided courtyard that in essence surrounds the pool.
Okay, great. Bill, I don't know if I missed it while I was looking through my files. Did you mention the materials that you'll be using?
Yes, an asphalt shingle roof. Everything is going to be AZEK trim. The columns will be structural fiberglass. On the back of the half wall where the kitchen is going to sit behind, it'll match the siding which is a gray shake, and it's going to sit on a bluestone patio.
Right. So basically, as I looked at the property, and my other board members have as well, basically the materials will all be matching the main structure, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, board members, any questions, thoughts, comments?
I'm having a really hard time figuring out where it is. I mean, I
did too at first, but when Bill said the back of the house, then it made more sense.
Yeah, but a site plan would have.
It's like a partial plan, isn't it? I just don't.
It's
Yeah.
I sent a site plan. I sent a digital site plan.
Is that a whole site plan though? It looks like a partial.
We have a partial plan.
Yeah, it was a partial.
What else is in the file? Because I feel like
I have
roof plan.
I do have one other thing in the file. I'll show you right here.
When I say it was a part, yeah.
I mean, I went there, but I didn't go in the backyard because it was fenced off. I didn't want to,
There we are. Okay.
But
yes,
This is the other thing I have in the file. Everyone.
Yeah, no, we have those 2 pages too. So
it's just posts and a roof.
That's it.
Yes, 4 posts and a roof.
All right, there you go. All right. If any public comment?
Oh, now I have to go back there. Hang on.
We did prepare a full site plan. I'm just saying. I mean, it is there. I just don't know why it's
There's
not.
no hands up.
We didn't.
All right. I mean, obviously, if this was a more substantial addition, that would be required. But I don't think we're going to press for that. So, board members, are you okay with this? It seems to be a yes and a nod. So I move that we accept the application of Peter Bianco at 64 Fox Hollow Lane for an accessory pavilion as submitted by the architect. Do I have a second on that? From John Gregory, all in favor with your resounding aye. Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Now, the next application is that of Jeremy, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name because I think it's going to come out other than the way it's written. So if Jeremy is there or who's ever representing them, please tell us how you pronounce the last name because it's spelled BAKSHI. SHT, force of habit. So anyway, at 88 Potato Field Lane for exterior alterations to the dwelling. So who's ever representing Jeremy Backshist?
I do not see anybody raising their hand. If Jackie knows the name, I can pull them up. Maybe they can't find. Here we go. Charles Ahrens is coming in.
And I have affidavits on this, Jeff.
Great, thank you, Alice.
Hi, I'm sending you a link to unmute, sir. Very good. And now I'm sending you a start video link. Okay, hello.
While he's doing that, do we have the digital sheets for that?
Not I.
Not you. 88%. Let me just see if it came in. In the meantime, Charles, you can introduce yourself and tell us who you're representing. And again, please help us with the pronunciation of the client's last name.
Yes, so I'm Charles Ahrens from Ahrens Building Corp. I'm representing 88 Potato Field Lane for the approval of the alteration of 3 dormers on the roof. And they will be also doing some interior renovations to the house, bathrooms, flooring, kitchen.
Okay. Well, let's see. You need to take us through the elevations. Let me see if I have them here.
I don't.
Potato,
Hi.
Potato Field. No, I don't. Okay.
We have hard copies, but
We have hard copies. Okay.
All right. We have somebody with their hand up, Jeff. I'm bringing them in. Ernest Schieferstein. Schieferstein, okay.
He's the architect.
he's the architect.
He's coming in. All right. So I'm going to ask you to unmute Ernest. And then I'm going to ask you to start.
Hello.
Here's your video link.
Okay,
hello.
yes, hi.
Hello.
Do you have electronic copies that you can share?
Yes, yes. Hi, good evening. Yes, I'm the architect. Yeah, I live in North Haven.
Turn down the sound on your computer. You have an echo, sir. Thank you.
Is that better?
I think
Better?
so. Yes.
Yes, hi. Evening, thanks, time.
Maybe not.
What we've designed.
Okay, you have two.
No, I thought we submitted what we needed to.
You have two programs running. You have to mute one of them.
Is that better?
I think you got it. All right, try again, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead, Ernest.
Yeah, we hear you.
You're on.
Yes, he's on. He has two items open. I can hear them.
Okay, is that better?
I think you got it. Go ahead and speak.
Okay. What we've done is just added two very simple, we're calling dormers, but they have flat roofs, to match the house, which is kind of it's the houses in the neighborhood are often styles. Just wanted to create more of an entry and more of a master suite with more ventilation and fire egress. So it's very simple. It's using all the same materials, white Anderson windows, the gray vertical siding.
Do you have a digital copy,
We're not adding
sir?
any square footage. It's a very simple renovation addition.
Ernest, do you have a digital copy that you can share or no?
No, I thought I submitted that was required. I'm not, this computer is not set up for that.
Sorry, Alice, I don't have that one either.
Well, I'll lead by saying that I think that the dormers don't reach the level of acceptance, and let other people comment with suggestions.
See that? That is that's the first floor, I believe.
Yes. That's street side.
The street side, rather.
Right.
The elevation facing the street.
It's very clean, very simple, just trying to give the house a little more feel of importance. You know, it's a mansard roof. It's not my favorite roof. We're just trying to kind of hide a little and just give us some presence.
Yeah, well, I don't think it works at all. I think it's really, it would be a disservice to the neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't find them successful because your dormers extending above the roof line look like a solution to a problem that doesn't actually enhance the overall look of the house to me.
Yeah, that's the popping up. It's
because what's there right now is setback areas, right? And you're enclosing them in and popping up to give height to what's on the interior. But from the exterior, it looks like a fix versus a design solution.
A toaster oven.
I by no means am an architect. However, I think the addition to the house doesn't even seem consistent with the existing house. And that's to me the biggest problem. It just doesn't seem to fit with the existing design.
And that's in scale and fenestration pattern, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, if they didn't pop up above the existing roof, they'd be less prominent.
Well, we're trying to get some height in there. It's all 8-foot ceilings.
Yeah, I know, but
it looks like a solution to avoid having to put a new roof on the house is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's really, I don't think it doesn't look right. It's very strange. It doesn't look like anything nearby.
Well, nearby is different things.
Well, I mean, in the neighborhood, Potato Field Lane, environment there. No, I know there's a lot of different houses there, but styles rather.
I just don't think it makes a cohesive whole.
Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, what are your suggestions?
Well, for one thing, I don't think it should pop up the roof. I mean, maybe you have to raise the roof to make it. I don't know what to do. I don't really want to say because.
Yeah, it's a really awkward house to do it. That's the problem.
I know it is, and it's a difficult problem.
The house has really no character, so I don't think the client wants to spend the kind of money that
you could
redo the whole house.
At the flat portion of the roof, the second floor, and again, this is, I don't want to get in trouble because I'm not supposed to suggest solutions. But if you put a parapet around the perimeter of the flat roof, say 2 feet high, and then brought your dormers to that height, it might start to, you'd have a consistent roof line at least. I don't know how it would look. I mean, I don't know if that would do it, but we'd have a consistent roof line, but the fenestration still wouldn't look right.
Exactly.
It feels like the answer is to raise the flat part of the roof to a peak roof and think of these as dormers instead of these pop-up solutions.
I think that's an excellent idea, Mark. Yep. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, great cost. We've already studied that.
What about a hip though? What if you did like a double hip? You did a shallower hip on top of the mansard that you have, so that at least these things project out of a roof.
Yeah, I understand. It's just it's not.
This will not. I mean, I don't think.
No,
I'm not going to vote for this. This is a blight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
Did we lose Jeff?
Jeff, are you there? I'm asking you to unmute. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for better or for worse. So I was saying, how about Ernest? Is he still there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let me get, to gallery view. Oh, there we are. Okay, good. So as Peter was saying, we can be helpful, but we can't design the house. So
yeah, I understand.
We also can't determine what your client's interest and budget is, but we're charged with looking at the exterior features of the house, and the board is charged with the duty of exercising sound judgment and of rejecting plans in which, in its opinion, are not of harmonious character because of proposed style, materials, mass, line, color, detail, or placement upon the property. or in relation to spaces between, or blah, blah, blah. So I think a lot of what was discussed here was having to do with the lines of the house and how you solve that. Some of the board members provided suggestions. But again, our duty is either accepting or rejecting plans. So I think you're hearing from the, not I think, you're hearing from the board a general consent, that's redundant, a consensus that the lines are not harmonious character.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so in this case, I'll open it to public comments, but the applicant would ask for an adjournment to redo the plans. And we're happy to look at new plans that you come back with after you've had a chance to digest this conversation and share it with your client.
Okay, yep, yep.
Jeff, if you opened it to public comment, I don't see any hands up.
Okay, so in which case, Ernest, I'm assuming you would rather ask for an adjournment than a vote. So,
yes.
Okay, so I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to our next meeting, which is October 25th. And before I call on my fellow board members, so just so you know, our next meeting is 2 weeks hence. Submissions have to be in the Thursday before. But if Ernest and Charles, you can't make that, it's too tight, then just send a note to Jackie with a request to adjourn it to the subsequent meeting, okay? And obviously we'll also need the digital plans. So do I have a second on that request to adjourn?
Second.
Second by Peter. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
As well. All right, Charles and Ernest, thank you. And we'll see you perhaps in a couple of weeks.
So we'll be set for the 25th?
25th, correct.
Okay, thank you.
We need digital.
Okay. And right, we'll need a digital submission.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. All right, thanks much. Okay, so let's move on to what will be the last item on the agenda. And that's pretty easy because it's for an adjourn and a request to adjourn Hampton Monkey Business for non-historic district driveway gates to October 25th. Do I have a motion to, I move that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn to the 25th. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second. Okay, second by Sarah. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Peter, okay,
Aye,
great.
yeah.
That concludes the hearings for this evening. Is there any other business of a public concern that needs to be discussed? Anybody? If not, I will move to close this meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation at 9:06 on October 12th, 2021. All in, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.